Prime Minister to extend your case within 5 minutes. Here.
Today's opposition side lives in a world where military is isolated, and they live in the world of the present. And I think that is the downfall of opposition side, is that they are not forward-looking in their policies whatsoever. They say, well, today Obama is still doing it. Well, guess what? Obama's not going to be here next year, is he? So who's going to replace him? It's going to be either Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Trump, or Cruz. It's one of those 4 people. But he said, oh, well, they're going to continue helping us anyways. So why didn't they shoot down the missile that flew over the Sea of Japan that was shot by North Korea? I think my Prime Minister gave you clear examples of how the United States support is waning in the modern day, in which Japan is no longer needed as a crucial Cold War ally to the United States. Second, they believe that the military exists in isolation. Oh, if Japan has an army, then other countries will be so afraid of Japan that they'll also get more military. But this is not how the real world works. The real world works in the way that militaries cooperate with each other. Okay? So they have exercises together for joint security. This is actually how militaries work right now. This is how the United States is in Japan and in Korea. This is the entire base of it. Go.
If cooperation is so important, how would you be able to achieve the cooperation within other countries such as China to be able to elaborate to
Okay, thank you. See, we haven't been able to cooperate with these countries because we don't have a military to speak of so that we can cooperate with them. This is why we need one, right? I mean, this is ridiculous. But I want to move on to the POI that I asked. She said, well, China's going to be so afraid of us because we're going to have military power, they're going to be like traumatized by the whatever massacres that Japan has committed. Well, guess what? China, it's been 70 years, China's still afraid of us even though we don't officially have a military. Why is that the case? It's the case because we haven't been able to cooperate with them militarily, like we were talking about. We haven't been able to demonstrate to them that we are a reliable and productive partner in a security alliance. Only by having a military power are we able to convince China, to convince Korea that we can work together on these matters and that we can be strong partners. Any POIs? I'll take them now. No, they agreed with everything. But furthermore, let me explain about, more specifically, China and Korea, right? I mean, why would they be okay with this? Because we envision in our future that Japan has a military and it actively cooperates with the military powers of China and Korea. And, common sense seems to dictate to me that the people that you don't attack are your allies. So not only can we convince China through long-term partnership with the military that we are not a threat to them, we can also neutralize the kinds of threat that they may pose to us. Now, leader of opposition came up with a very interesting statement. She said, oh, if we militarize, then China's going to militarize more. Well, China's been militarizing. But guess what? That's not because Japan has a military. That's a package of modernization. When countries modernize, when they industrialize, they get stronger militaries. This is a fact of political order. So, in fact, we think that when we get a military, when we can change the name of the SDF to military, because make no mistake, everybody, Japan already does have a military. It's called the SDF. We have military capacities. It's just that the things that we are able to do with them are limited, which leads me on neatly to my second point about having a forward approach. We think on side government that it is not enough to have a completely reactive policy. We think that when missiles from North Korea land in Japan and kills somebody's family, somebody's brother, somebody's mother, that's already too late. We as government of Japan have a responsibility to the lives of these people, and it is for this very specific reason that we need to have a forward-looking policy in which we have options moving into the future and that we can protect our citizens. This is our moral responsibility as an elected government. This is something that, in fact, the United States has pushed us to do ever since 1948 and 49, in fact. So we believe that is something that's very important for us. Furthermore, what does a forward approach let us do? It lets us readjust to the geopolitical situations that surround us. Back in the day, 20 years ago, it was the Cold War. We needed to have the help of the United States. Now is a much more multipolar world. We no longer live in the binary of the USSR and the United States. Yet we are still stuck. We're still dependent on this binary policy. We need to have a policy that we can adjust according to what is happening around us. We believe that paying the United States to be here is no longer an option for us. We think in order to protect our civilians, to protect the people that have entrusted us with the power to do so, we believe that now is the time to have a military for Japan.